August 9th, 1944. Dawn breaks over northern France. Mist clings to the Seine, curling around the steel ribs of the Lisle-Adam Railroad Bridge. The river glints silver, calm, yet beneath its surface lies a lifeline for retreating German forces. 30 B-26 Marauders roar through the morning haze, their engines slicing the chill air. Darrell Lindsay grips the controls of his bomber, eyes scanning the horizon. Flak bursts blossom like deadly fireworks, black smoke choking the sky. One jagged streak rips across the wing. The right engine shudders violently. Sparks scatter, fire licking metal. His crew huddles, fear etched into every face, fingers clutching straps, hearts hammering. For a heartbeat, time slows. The bridge lies ahead, vital, strategic, untouchable if they falter. Lindsay's voice cracks over the intercom. Calm but resolute. Hold formation. We finish this mission. The Marauder lurches. Smoke pours from the engine. Crewmen scramble to the escape hatch. Lindsay steadies the flaming aircraft, guiding it forward. One final act of courage that will echo through history. Summer 1944. The tides of war were shifting. The Allies had broken out from Normandy, pressing eastward across France. Every river crossing, every road, every bridge was a potential choke point. German forces, retreating but tenacious, relied on the Seine River as a natural defensive line. Its crossings were few, and those that remained intact became lifelines for their supply trains, armored convoys, and desperate troops. Among them, the Lisle-Adam Railroad Bridge loomed as one of the last undamaged links between northern France and the German heartland. Destroy it, and the Wehrmacht's withdrawal would falter. Across England and southern France, Allied planners studied aerial reconnaissance photos, charting flak batteries, fighter patrols, and bridge construction. The mission was clear: precision bombing to disrupt German logistics. But precision under fire was never simple. The Marauder, the flying pencil as crews called it, was fast and sleek, but its narrow fuselage left little room for error. Anti-aircraft fire could tear it apart in seconds. One wrong maneuver, and a bomber would spiral into the Seine, taking its crew with it. Darrell Lindsay had already flown dozens of missions with the 322nd Bombardment Group. Known for a keen eye and steady hand, he was a leader both respected and, at times, underestimated. Some joke that he was blind, a playful nod to his habit of trusting instinct over instruments, navigating by memory and feel. But on missions like this, instinct could be the difference between life and death. The Allies' focus on the Seine reflected the broader strategy of the war. After D-Day, rapid mobility was key. The Germans were retreating toward the Rhine, but their rail lines allowed them to move troops and materiel faster than the advancing armies. Every intact bridge was a lifeline, and every destroyed bridge was a hammer blow. Planners calculated that eliminating Lisle-Adam would force delays of days, potentially weeks, stalling reinforcements and leaving retreating units vulnerable to pursuit. The 322nd Bombardment Group, equipped with B-26 Marauders, trained meticulously for these strikes. Formation flying, low-level bombing runs, and flak evasion were drilled repeatedly, yet nothing could fully prepare them for what awaited that August morning. The Germans had reinforced Lisle-Adam with anti-aircraft artillery, hidden among the riverbanks and forested ridges. Intelligence reports indicated 20mm and 88mm flak, capable of shredding aluminum skins and sending heavy bombers into the water. Each approach would be a gauntlet. Beyond the tactical and technical challenges, there was the human element. Every bomber carried a crew of 6: pilot, co-pilot, navigator, bombardier, and gunners. Coordination had to be flawless. Hesitation could mean death for one or all. And above them, commanding the formation, Lindsay carried not just responsibility for the aircraft, but for every life in the air that day. The pressure was immense, and yet the mission could not fail. As dawn broke over the Seine, the river's glassy surface reflected a calm that belied the violence looming above it. Lindsay's Marauder, leading the formation, would soon face the perfect storm of fire and metal. Anti-aircraft bursts would tear the sky apart. Engines would flare and smoke. Crewmen would confront fear, and the bridge, small and seemingly fragile from the air, would stand as the symbol of all that hung in the balance. In the quiet moments before engagement, one could almost forget the war raging across Europe. Yet every second ticked closer to impact, and every choice carried consequences measured in human lives and strategic advantage. Lindsay, despite rumors and jest, would have to rely on every skill, every ounce of courage, to turn a fragile bomber into a weapon capable of shaping the path of armies. The stage was set. The river, the bridge, the sky, all awaited the moment when steel and courage would collide. And above it all, Lindsay prepared to lead his crew into a trial by fire that would become legendary. Darrell R. Lindsay was not a man defined solely by his uniform or rank. Born in 1919 in Michigan, he grew up with a fascination for machines and flight. By the time war engulfed the globe, Lindsay had earned his pilot wings and joined the 322nd Bombardment Group. Colleagues remembered him for his calm demeanor under pressure, a quiet confidence that belied the danger inherent in every sortie. Yet whispers followed him, a joking reference to his supposed blindness, a nickname born of his tendency to rely on instinct rather than instrumentation. It was this instinct, sharpened by years of experience, that would guide him through one of the most perilous missions of the European campaign. The Lille-Adam Bridge was a prize of immense strategic value. Allied intelligence described it as one of the few remaining intact railroad crossings over the Seine, a vital artery for German retreats and resupply. Reconnaissance photos revealed flak emplacements lining both banks, gun nests hidden among trees, and reinforced steel beams spanning the river. The Allies calculated that a successful strike could delay German movements by days, potentially allowing advancing troops to cut off entire formations. Failure, however, could cost lives and leave the bridge functional, keeping enemy supply lines open. Mission planning was exhaustive. Lindsay and his fellow pilots pored over maps, photographs, and aerial intelligence. Bomb loads were calculated to balance destructive power with aircraft maneuverability. Approaches were timed to minimize exposure to anti-aircraft fire. The formation, 30 Marauders strong, was trained to maintain precise intervals, banking and rolling in unison. Each plane carried a crew of 6, and each crew had practiced drills until reflex replaced thought. Yet even the most meticulous preparation could not account for the unpredictable chaos of battle. The German defenses at Lille-Adam were formidable. Flak batteries equipped with 20mm and 88mm guns threatened any approach. From the air, their shells painted deadly arcs against the sky, while hidden positions along the riverbank allowed gunners to strike from angles invisible to reconnaissance. The Luftwaffe, though stretched thin by the Allied advance, could still mount interception runs with fighter aircraft. Every second in the target zone risked not only mission failure, but the destruction of entire bombers and their crews. Beyond the tactical calculations, there was the human dimension. Each pilot, each bombardier, and each gunner carried a private burden of fear, hope, and resolve. Lindsay's leadership extended beyond maneuvering aircraft. It meant maintaining morale, issuing calm orders under duress, and making split-second decisions that would save lives, or cost them. The intercom crackled with commands, reassurances, and final instructions, threading a tenuous line between order and chaos. Lindsay himself understood the stakes. The rumors of blindness were irrelevant here. Precision, courage, and judgment were what mattered. Every choice, when to climb, when to bank, when to release bombs, would ripple across the river below, through the steel of the bridge, and into the lives of thousands on the ground. The bridge was more than metal. It was a fulcrum upon which the war in that region might pivot. Destroying it required more than skill. It demanded unflinching resolve in the face of mortal danger. As dawn deepened into morning, the Marauders lined up on their approach path. Engines thrummed in unison, slicing through clouds and mist. The river gleamed, deceptively serene, as German flak began to stir in anticipation of the raid. Lindsay, at the helm, felt the weight of responsibility settle like stone in his chest. Every training exercise, every mission flown, had led to this moment. The plan was set, the crews ready, and the sky itself seemed to hold its breath. The stage was now complete for a convergence of human will, machine, and fire. Lindsay's skills, instincts, and courage would be tested in a crucible over the Seine, where the fate of a single bridge might influence the advance of armies. In the moments before engagement, calm and chaos existed side by side, and the bridge, silent and steadfast, awaited the storm to come. Angle 1, human, courage under fire. Daryl. Lindsay was, at his core, a man defined by responsibility. The blind pilot nickname, whispered among peers, belied a mind honed by experience and instinct. For Lindsay, piloting a B-26 Marauder was never just about controlling an aircraft. It was about guiding 6 lives through the thin line between survival and destruction. His crew depended on him, the co-pilot, navigator, bombardier, and gunners, all trusting that the man at the helm would make decisions that might save or condemn them. Fear was constant, yet he met it with a calm precision. On the approach to Liesel Adam, every heartbeat of dread was paired with an equal measure of resolve. Lindsay's leadership was quiet but authoritative, his presence a tether that kept his crew from fracturing under stress. Each command, each adjustment of the controls carried the weight of human life, yet he remained focused on the mission's greater purpose. The human dimension of war, fear, courage, trust, converged in those moments above the Seine. Angle 2, tactical, formation, and precision. The mission demanded absolute precision. 30 B-26, Marauders flying in formation, resembled a deadly ballet, each plane occupying a specific slot, banking in unison, rolling in coordination. The goal was to maximize destructive impact while minimizing exposure to flak. Approaching Lille, Adam required meticulous timing. Too early, and anti-aircraft gunners would have time to adjust. Too late, and the formation risked scattering. The B-26 was fast, but its handling under fire required discipline and training. Lindsay's tactical skill lay in balancing aggression with caution, leading his formation through the most dangerous stretch of the Seine, threading between flak bursts and ensuring bombs fell on target. The bridge could not simply be destroyed. It had to be neutralized precisely to sever the enemy's supply lines effectively. Tactical mastery was as critical as courage, and Lindsay combined both in every maneuver. Angle 3, technological. The B-26 Marauder. The B-26 Marauder, dubbed the Flying Pencil, was both a marvel and a challenge. Its narrow fuselage allowed for impressive speed and high-altitude stability, but left little margin for error. Fully loaded with bombs, the aircraft was unforgiving, especially under fire. The Marauder's twin engines were powerful but vulnerable. A single hit could turn a precision bomber into a falling fireball. Defensive armaments included multiple 50-caliber guns, yet they were effective only against lightly armored fighters, not the 88mm flak lining the Seine. The design emphasized speed and precision over survivability, demanding skill and nerve from its pilot. Lindsay knew every nuance: engine behavior, fuel limits, and bomb release mechanisms. In that moment above Lille Adam, technology was an extension of his will, fragile, lethal, and indispensable. Angle 4, enemy, German defenses. The Germans had fortified Liesel Adam with lethal efficiency. Flak batteries of 20 mm and 88 mm guns were concealed among trees and riverbanks, giving gunners multiple angles of fire. Each burst of black smoke, each exploding shell, presented a deadly puzzle for Allied pilots. The Wehrmacht relied on these defensive choke points to cover retreats and maintain supply lines. From the air, the flak seemed almost omnipresent, invisible until it erupted in destructive arcs. German fighter patrols, though limited at this stage of the war, remained a latent threat. Every second spent in the approach corridor increased the risk of aircraft losses. Lindsay's mission was not merely a bombing run, it was a gauntlet through a well-prepared, lethal defense network. Angle 5, moral, leadership, and sacrifice. The moral stakes were immense. Lindsay's decision to continue flying a flaming aircraft, guiding his formation to the bridge while ordering crew members to bail out, was the ultimate act of responsibility. Leadership in war is often measured in strategy, but in these moments it is measured in courage and ethical resolve. The choice was clear: abandon the mission and risk failure, or press forward and endanger lives to achieve a critical objective. Lindsay chose the latter, embracing the burden of his role with total awareness. His sacrifice was not reckless, it was deliberate, grounded in duty and the larger goals of the Allied advance. The moral calculus of leadership in combat, when every decision carries life or death consequences, became manifest in Lindsay's actions above the Seine. Transition. In these angles, human, tactical, technological, enemy, moral, we see the full spectrum of stakes converging. Lindsay was not just a pilot, he was a leader, a strategist, and a symbol of the war's intensity. All these factors built to the mission's decisive moment: the approach, the flak, the release of bombs, and the final sacrifice that would etch his name into history. Angle 6, leadership under fire. Leadership in combat is rarely a matter of ceremony. It is instantaneous, ruthless, and often invisible to anyone but those directly affected. Lindsay's role went far beyond controlling the marauder. He was the anchor of his formation. When the right engine ignited and smoke poured into the cockpit, chaos threatened to unravel the mission. Crewmen struggled with fear, instruments faltered, and flak shredded the air around them. Yet Lindsay remained composed. Every command was measured, every adjustment purposeful. He communicated calm, yet urgency, guiding both aircraft and crew through a storm of death. His instinctive understanding of the marauder's limits and the formation's vulnerabilities allowed him to lead effectively under circumstances most men could not endure. Lindsay's leadership was a blend of skill, courage, and moral resolve, qualities that transformed a vulnerable bomber into a lifeline for the mission's success. Angle 7, psychological toll, fear, resolve, and the human mind. Combat is as much a battle of nerves as it is of strategy or firepower. Every second above Lyle, Adam tested not only physical skill, but mental endurance. Crewmen faced the explosive unpredictability of flak, the threat of burning fuel, and the prospect of death if the bomber went down. Fear was omnipresent, gnawing at even the most experienced airmen. Lindsay, however, exemplified the capacity to channel fear into focus. His calm demeanor, reliance on instinct, and unwavering commitment created a psychological anchor for his crew. The human mind, pushed to its limits, could either fracture or adapt. Lindsay's leadership ensured the latter, turning terror into coordinated action. The crew followed, not because orders were given, but because trust in their pilot transformed fear into determination. Angle 8. Wider impact, strategic consequences. The destruction of the Lyle. Adam Bridge was not a symbolic gesture. It carried tangible military consequences. German retreats relied on intact rail lines. By eliminating this crossing, Lindsay and his formation disrupted supply chains, delaying troop movements, artillery resupply, and armored redeployments. The Allies gained crucial time, allowing advancing forces to consolidate gains from the Normandy breakout. The tactical victory above a single bridge rippled through operational and strategic levels of the European campaign. One act of precision bombing altered the tempo of the front, demonstrating the outsized impact a single mission could have on the larger war. Lindsay's courage thus transcended the immediate danger. It reshaped the battlefield. Angle 9, technical bravery, mastery of the machine. Beyond instinct and leadership, Lindsay's performance highlighted a deep mastery of aviation technology. The B-26 Marauder, while fast and sleek, was unforgiving under duress. Handling a flaming, partially disabled bomber required intimate knowledge of engine response, weight distribution, and aerodynamics. Lindsay's control allowed the formation to maintain cohesion and approach the target with remarkable precision. In this sense, technical skill became inseparable from bravery. Courage alone would not have sufficed. It was Lindsay's ability to exploit the aircraft's capabilities under extreme conditions that ensured mission success and crew survival. This union of human skill and machine function is a defining hallmark of his heroism. Angle 10, legacy, recognition, and memory. Even before the war's end, Lindsay's actions resonated among his peers. The posthumous Medal of Honor recognized not just a single mission, but a combination of skill, bravery, leadership, and sacrifice. The story of the blind pilot who guided his formation through fire while ensuring his crew's safety became a touchstone for the values of courage and responsibility. Memorials, historical accounts, and Air Force citations preserved his story. reinforcing the idea that heroism is often defined by split-second decisions in the face of overwhelming danger. Lindsay's legacy extended beyond strategy and tactics. It became a moral compass for future aviators. Transition. Through these angles, leadership, psychological endurance, strategic consequence, technical mastery, and enduring legacy, we see the full dimensions of Lindsay's mission. Each perspective converges on the same moment: the approach to the bridge, the fury of flak, and the bomb release that would define both personal and military history. These insights naturally lead to the climax, turning point, where all tension, skill, and courage collide in the decisive act over Liel Adam. August 9th, 1944, ode 8:17 a.m. 30, B-26. Marauders sliced through the misty Seine skies, their formation taut and precise. Below, the Liel Adam Bridge glimmered, deceptively fragile, a lifeline for German forces retreating eastward. Anti-aircraft fire waited patiently, guns hidden among the trees and riverbanks, ready to erupt. Lindsay's aircraft led the formation, his eyes scanning, calculating, instinctively reading the flow of battle before him. As they neared the target, the first flak bursts tore through the sky. Black smoke blossomed around the formation, sharp arcs cutting through the morning haze. Marauders wobbled under the shock waves. Then came the strike. Lindsay's right engine ignited in a sudden eruption of fire. Sparks and flames clawed at the fuselage. The aircraft lurched violently, threatening to break the formation. Crewmen scrambled, eyes wide, as heat and smoke filled the cockpit. For a moment, chaos reigned. The Marauder pitched, nearly losing altitude, yet Lindsay's hands remained steady on the yoke. With practiced precision, he banked the plane, compensating for the failing engine while maintaining alignment with the formation. His voice, calm yet commanding, cut through the crackle of alarms. "Stick with me. Stay in formation. We finish this mission." Behind him, crewmen moved toward the escape hatch. Smoke choked their lungs. Fear clutched at their hearts. Lindsay guided the aircraft, allowing one, then another, to bail out safely into the mist above the Seine. Every second stretched into an eternity. The enemy flak continued to shred the air, shells exploding perilously close. Yet Lindsay's focus never wavered. He had trained for precision bombing under the worst conditions, and now that training became the difference between success and catastrophe. The Marauder approached the bridge. Lindsay adjusted altitude and heading with meticulous care. The target loomed, steel beams spanning the river, the tracks lined with German freight cars. Each second of hesitation risked missing the target or drawing more concentrated flak fire. From the cockpit, the bomb sight reflected a tiny glowing reticle over the bridge. Lindsay's hands guided it. Instinct and experience converged. At 8:23 a.m., bombs released. The formation rocked with the recoil, engines whining under strain. Below, the bridge shuddered as explosives detonated. Plumes of smoke and fire erupted from the structure, steel twisting, concrete splintering. German supply lines fractured in an instant. The bridge, which had seemed unassailable, now lay in ruins, severing a crucial artery in the enemy's retreat. Lindsay's aircraft was not unscathed. The flames from the right engine consumed the fuselage. Smoke filled the cockpit, searing eyes and lungs. The Marauder wavered under the combined effects of fire, flak, and bomb recoil. Crewmen knew that every second over the Seine was now a fight for survival. Lindsay's focus shifted from bombing to life-saving maneuvers. He held the flaming plane steady, giving his crew the chance to escape into the skies, each one sliding down ropes or leaping into the morning mist. The first crewman went, then the next. Lindsay monitored the process, adjusting throttle and trim to maintain stability. Time slowed. One by one, the men left the aircraft. The last of his crew, with gratitude and fear, scrambled out. Lindsay remained alone. The Marauder was a furnace of steel and flame, yet he held it, guiding the plane just long enough for the mission to succeed. At 8:30 a.m., the aircraft erupted. A ball of fire illuminated the sky, fragments raining into the Seine below. Lindsay was gone, the ultimate sacrifice for a strategic victory. The bridge, now shattered, would delay German movement, aiding the Allied advance. The mission, executed with precision and bravery, had achieved its goal. Above the river, silence returned. Smoke lingered, the formation regrouped, and survivors floated back toward Allied lines. The human cost was clear, yet the triumph was undeniable. Lindsay's actions had transformed fear into action, chaos into accomplishment, and an ordinary bomber into a weapon of strategic significance. The moment of truth stretched over minutes that felt like hours. Lindsay's Marauder, now a flaming vessel of steel and fire, held its trajectory with the precision of a surgeon. Below, the Leal Adam Bridge writhed under the impact of the bombs. The steel beams twisted like molten metal in a furnace. Concrete piers cracked and splintered. The rails, once a lifeline for German logistics, now sagged into the Seine. German troops, scattered along the banks, witnessed the sudden, violent severing of their supply line. The destruction was absolute, immediate, and strategically invaluable. Above the river, flak continued to shred the sky. Bursts exploded dangerously close to the remaining formation. Lindsay's crew, one by one, descended into the morning mist, parachutes blossoming like white flowers against the smoke and haze. Each man's heart pounded with relief and terror, yet all were tethered to a single crucial act. Their survival depended on the precision of their pilot. Lindsay's calm, unyielding presence in the cockpit allowed every crew member the chance to leave the aircraft alive. The navigator, battered by heat and smoke, leapt from the hatch. The bombardier followed, gripping the straps with white-knuckled hands. The gunners, their faces smeared with soot and sweat, slid into the air, leaving Lindsay to guide the bomber alone. Each exit brought both relief and gravity, the responsibility that remained heavier than ever. For Lindsay, there was no hesitation. His mind remained clear, his hands steady, and his focus absolute. The Marauder wavered, threatened by gravity and fire, but he maneuvered it to ensure that its destruction would not endanger the remaining formation. The pilot's skill, honed over dozens of missions, allowed him to transform a death trap into a final act of precision. At 08:32 a.m., Lindsay's aircraft exploded. The sky lit with the brilliance of fire and smoke, an ephemeral testament to courage under fire. Fragments rained into the river, stirring the mist into clouds of steam. The bridge, the mission's objective, lay in ruins, severing German supply lines and delivering a critical advantage to the advancing Allied forces. Lindsay's sacrifice was complete. He had ensured the survival of his crew, the success of the mission, and the strategic disruption of enemy operations. In the aftermath of the explosion, the remaining Marauders regrouped, circling above the Seine. Pilots and crews, shaken but alive, witnessed the destruction below. The bridge, once a formidable obstacle, now presented only jagged remnants of twisted steel. Allied reconnaissance would later confirm the strategic victory. German rail movement delayed, retreat slowed, and the advance toward Paris unimpeded. Lindsay's act was more than heroism. It was a tangible contribution to the operational success of the Allied campaign in France. The human cost was undeniable. Lindsay had given his life for the mission and his men, yet the ripple effects of his courage extended far beyond the sky over Leal Adam. His crew, alive because of his leadership, would carry the story of that day forward. Fellow pilots and commanding officers recognized the act as extraordinary, a union of instinct, skill, and moral fortitude rarely seen even in wartime. Every flak burst, every second of chaos, every trembling crew member had led to this single moment of decisive action. Lindsay's instincts, honed through experience, transformed a near-catastrophic scenario into an operational triumph. In the silent moments after the explosion, one could measure the magnitude of his act not only in steel and smoke, but in lives saved and in advance preserved. The sky over the Seine slowly returned to a tenuous calm. Smoke spiraled upward, mingling with the morning mist. The shattered bridge glistened in the sun, a testament to a mission executed under impossible conditions. Lindsay's sacrifice had ensured the destruction of a vital objective, preserved his crew, and marked a turning point in both the immediate tactical situation and the broader Allied advance across France. From the perspective of history, that brief interval above the river, mere minutes of concentrated chaos and courage, crystallized the essence of warfare, the collision of human will, technological mastery, and strategic necessity. Lindsay's name would endure, not for glory, but for the magnitude of responsibility he bore, and the lives he safeguarded at the cost of his own. The smoke over the Seine cleared, revealing the full impact of the mission. The Lille-Adam Bridge, once a vital artery for German retreat and logistics, now lay in ruins. Twisted steel beams jutted at odd angles, rails hung precariously over the river, and concrete supports crumbled into the water below. German supply trains could no longer cross. Troop movements slowed dramatically, forcing command decisions to shift under pressure. The Allies gained precious hours, possibly days, to consolidate their advance from Normandy, cutting off the enemy's ability to regroup efficiently. Strategically, the mission was a decisive success. For the 322nd Bombardment Group, relief and sorrow mingled in equal measure. The surviving crew of Lindsay's aircraft, battered, shaken, yet alive, were airlifted back to base. Each man carried the vivid imprint of fear, courage, and survival etched into memory. Accounts from the crew described Lindsay's calm precision under fire, his unwavering commitment to the mission, and his insistence that every man evacuate safely before he himself succumbed to the flames. His actions elevated the mission from a standard bombing run to an extraordinary feat of leadership and heroism. The immediate human toll was stark but contained. 6 marauders had been dispatched. Lindsay's aircraft was lost. Yet all of his crew survived. The psychological weight of witnessing a pilot guide a flaming aircraft while ensuring their escape left an indelible mark. Letters and after-action reports captured the sentiments of his men: admiration, grief, and profound gratitude. Lindsay had transformed fear into coordinated action, turning potential disaster into a controlled outcome. Across the front, news of the bridge's destruction rippled through command channels. German forces, confronted with the sudden loss of a critical crossing, were forced to reroute supply lines and troop movements. Rail traffic halted, convoys were delayed, and retreating units became more vulnerable to advancing Allied forces. For the planners back in England and the Supreme Headquarters in France, the mission confirmed the effectiveness of precision bombing, formation tactics, and pilot leadership under extreme duress. The Allies' operational planning now had tangible proof that small, coordinated attacks could yield outsized strategic gains. The Marauders, with their speed and precision, proved capable of striking critical infrastructure while minimizing exposure time to flak and enemy fighters. Lindsay's decision-making, technical skill, and moral courage became a case study for future missions, a template of how a single pilot, facing extreme adversity, could influence the broader theater of war. Reports from surviving aircrew and intelligence officers highlighted the combination of factors that ensured success: accurate reconnaissance, disciplined formation, flying, precise bombing, and a pilot who embodied calm decisiveness. Lindsay's sacrifice was both immediate and symbolic. Immediate because it allowed the mission to succeed. Symbolic because it demonstrated the extraordinary demands placed on airmen and the profound courage required to meet them. In the hours following the raid, Allied intelligence teams documented the bridge's destruction. Reconnaissance photos captured the shattered spans, evidence of the mission's precision and effectiveness. German countermeasures were delayed, confirming the operational impact. Meanwhile, back at the base, the surviving crew recounted the events, preserving the story of Lindsay's heroism. Their testimony would later form the basis of Medal of Honor recommendations, historical accounts, and wartime narratives. The aftermath was not solely measured in tactical gains. Lindsay's actions left a psychological imprint on both friend and foe. Allies saw what steadfast leadership and courage could achieve, even under catastrophic circumstances. Germans recognized the vulnerability of their supply lines and the effectiveness of precision Allied bombing. For the men who flew alongside Lindsay, the lesson was clear. Leadership, skill, and moral resolve could turn near-impossible circumstances into mission success. The destruction of the Lille-Adam Bridge resonated far beyond the banks of the Seine. German command, confronted with the sudden severing of a vital rail line, was forced to reroute convoys and slow troop movements. The ripple effect of Lindsay's mission reached the front lines, delaying reinforcements and providing the Allies with a crucial operational advantage. Strategically, the strike exemplified the power of precision air raids. A single, well-executed mission could disrupt entire enemy networks and reshape the battlefield. Back at base, the surviving crew recounted the harrowing moments above the bridge. Every detail of Lindsay's actions, guiding the formation under fire, stabilizing the flaming aircraft, ordering each crewman to bail out, was recorded in reports and personal diaries. Officers recognized the combination of technical skill, leadership, and courage required to execute such a feat. Lindsay had not simply completed the mission. He had elevated it to an extraordinary act of heroism. Recognition followed swiftly. Lindsay was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor, the United States' highest military decoration for valor. The citation emphasized his conspicuous gallantry, intrepidity, and selflessness in ensuring both mission success and crew survival. The story of the blind pilot, once whispered in jest among peers, became a symbol of moral courage and leadership under fire. Lindsay's name entered the annals of military history, a touchstone for both airmen and historians studying the human dimension of warfare. The impact extended beyond military circles. Newspaper reports, letters from surviving crew, and official military dispatches preserved the story for the public. Lindsay's sacrifice became emblematic of the extraordinary demands placed on young men during the war, the delicate balance between life, duty, and mission accomplishment. For the families of his crew and for the broader Allied community, the mission underscored both the personal cost of war and the enduring significance of courageous action. The raid also influenced tactical doctrine. Analysts studied the mission, noting how precise formation, flying, careful planning, and decisive leadership could overcome formidable defenses. The B-26 Marauder, often criticized for its early design challenges, proved its value in capable hands. Lindsay's actions became a benchmark for evaluating the integration of human skill and technology under combat conditions. Memorials and historical accounts ensured that Lindsay's heroism would not be forgotten. Plaques, citations, and museum exhibits highlighted the mission's significance, preserving both the tactical achievements and the human story behind them. In classrooms and training programs, Lindsay's leadership under extreme adversity became a case study, emphasizing that heroism often requires both courage and technical mastery. The surviving crew carried the memory of that day throughout their lives. They spoke of Lindsay's calm demeanor amid chaos, his unwavering focus, and the selflessness that defined his final moments. Their recollections became the threads of a story woven into the broader tapestry of World War II history, a story of courage, sacrifice, and the extraordinary human will to fulfill duty even in the face of certain death. Ultimately, the aftermath of the Lyle Adam mission was measured in both tangible and intangible ways. The bridge's destruction delayed the enemy, saving countless Allied lives. The mission confirmed the strategic effectiveness of precision bombing, and, most enduringly, it cemented Darrell R. Lindsay's place in history, a man whose skill, courage, and moral resolve turned a single bomber into an instrument of decisive action. The bridge may have crumbled into the Seine, but the legacy of that day, of leadership, sacrifice, and extraordinary bravery, endured. Lindsay's actions became a touchstone, a reminder that even in war, individual courage can shape the course of events, leaving an imprint far larger than a single life or mission. Darrell R. Lindsay's mission over Lyle Adam was more than a single act of wartime bravery. It was a testament to the convergence of human courage, skill, and moral responsibility. In the crucible of combat, every decision carries weight, every moment tests resolve, and every action ripples outward, shaping outcomes far beyond the immediate horizon. Lindsay's choice to guide a flaming bomber, ensuring the survival of his crew while completing a critical mission, exemplifies the profound responsibilities borne by those who take to the skies in war. The destruction of a bridge, an object of steel and stone, reveals the intersection of strategy and human will. Tactical objectives become meaningful only through the courage required to achieve them. Lindsay's instinctive mastery of his aircraft, combined with unwavering calm under fire, transformed what could have been catastrophe into a decisive victory. His actions remind us that technology alone cannot win battles. It is the people who wield it, with skill and conscience, who determine the course of history. Yet there is also a quieter resonance. Lindsay's sacrifice highlights the personal cost of warfare, the lives risked, the fears endured, the split-second decisions that define legacies. Each crewman who survived did so because of his steadfast leadership. The physical destruction of the bridge mirrors the intangible imprint of courage, etched into memory, history, and the moral imagination of those who learn of it. In the broader sweep of World War II, Lindsay's flight underscores a universal truth. History is shaped not only by grand strategies and sweeping campaigns, but by moments of individual courage that echo far beyond their immediate context. One pilot, facing fire and chaos, altered the trajectory of a campaign, preserved lives, and set an enduring example of selflessness. As smoke spirals above the Seine and the morning mist lifts, the bridge lies broken, yet Lindsay's legacy stands unshaken. A reminder that in the darkest hours, courage, skill, and moral resolve can illuminate a path forward, leaving a mark that time cannot erase.